Hi, I'm Joseph Berardo. At MagnaCare, we believe that all citizens need to be informed about the health care issues that affect their lives. That's why we're proud to support the programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, activists in cooperation with the American Medicine Chess Challenge, Steve and Elaine Pazicki, United Water, making the planet sustainable is the best job on earth, MagnaCare, and by Johnson & Johnson. Promotional support provided by NJ.com, Small News, Big News, True Jersey, and by Commerce Magazine.
This is One-on-One.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
People like laughing at others, so I don't mind if the other is me.
See, you go right into the character. That's what it is.
I'm bringing families together a half an hour each week. Man, I'm doing something special.
And so I do feel successful.
Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Steve Adubato. It's my honor and my pleasure to introduce Dr. Randye Huron, who is Chief of Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrics at Hackensack University Medical Center. Good to see you, Doctor.
Thank you. Same here.
We're here to talk about autism.
That's right.
What is it, first of all?
Autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder, and it affects children's social communication, the way they interact with people, and also their interests. And sometimes they get stuck on certain things. They engage in repetitive behaviors.
Why do you think that for many, the perception of what autism is a bit confused?
I think there's a stereotype about what an autistic child looks like.
What do you think
that
is?
Yeah, a child who flaps his hands totally in a world of their own. And I think that has changed dramatically over the past years.
Because there's something called the Autism Spectrum.
Right.
Describe what that is, because that matters in this discussion, does it not?
Absolutely. The spectrum is incredibly wide. There are children who are very mildly affected by autism and those who are very severely affected by autism. I think that stereotype looks at the children who were very severely affected by autism. We are now diagnosing children with much milder symptoms, and we also so essentially what you talk about as the spectrum is there's a huge difference in the symptomatology of a child who may have the same diagnosis, which is autism spectrum disorder.
And it's interesting, you talk about diagnosing autism. There is or is not a test for diagnosing autism?
Actually, the diagnosis is very difficult because it's a clinical diagnosis. There is no test.
There is no test. You don't take a child's blood and say, oh, we're going to take your blood, we're going to test this child's blood, and we're going to determine if this child has autism.
No, that can't be done. Nope, nope. So, and that brings out an important point because it's a clinical diagnosis. I think it's very important to have someone evaluate a child who has a lot of experience with autism. I think somebody who has a huge knowledge of what it is, and so usually developmental pediatricians, psychiatrists, neurologists, there's a number of specialists who have expertise in that area and often are referred by pediatricians, child study teams.
But for parents watching right now, Doctor,
yeah,
who may be concerned, A, at what point should a parent be thinking about, aware of this issue of autism, and B, what are they looking for?
So they should be looking early, and so should their pediatrician.
How early?
Very early. So making eye contact with the parent, reciprocal cooing.
Eye contact?
Eye contact.
Why is that so important?
Because that shows a connectedness to a person. And on autism, these children are not very well related, not related the way they're supposed to be.
So if a child is having difficulty making eye contact, that doesn't mean the child has autism. It means that potentially that child should be, since there's not a test.
Right. It's just a red flag.
A red flag.
And there is now the American Academy of Pediatrics has recommended, strongly recommended, that pediatricians do a specific autism screen at 18 months and 24 months of age. So on your regular checkups, the pediatricians really should be looking specifically for those kinds of red flags or symptoms.
Let's say that a child is diagnosed with some issue connected to autism on the autism spectrum, as we say. Mm-hmm. What kind of treatment are we talking about? And is this treatment about medicine? You know, some treatment connected to medicine and therapy? One or the other? What is it?
It's therapy.
It's not medicine.
No.
It's not.
Not at this point.
Go
there
ahead.
are some issues later on that can be treated with medicine. But at the beginning, what it is, it's behavioral therapy. So essentially, you want to encourage a child to make eye contact. If they make eye contact, let's say 10% of the time, your goal would be to have them make it 25% of the time. And you make baby steps until you get it to 100% of the time. So at the beginning, you'll request eye contact, and your later goals would be for the child to initiate eye contact on their own. Huge changes.
And where does New Jersey rank in the country in terms of how we're doing with those, helping those who are dealing with autism, families?
New Jersey has a great reputation in regards to their interventions. New Jersey, however, also has the highest prevalence of autism nationwide.
Do we, or do we just diagnose it better?
That's a great question.
I don't have the answers, I just have the questions.
Yeah, well, I don't have the answers either, but...
but is that it? Is it that we actually have more cases? I'm not being facetious. I mean, do we actually have more cases of autism, or are we that much more aggressive and assertive in trying to identify situations where children have some issue connected with autism? Do we really know that?
No, we don't know that, but we do believe our record keeping is better, our evaluation system,
Right.
the amount of experts in the field. There are a huge amount of people in New Jersey who are excellent at identifying early. And our school systems and our early intervention programs are excellent.
They've been good. And finally, for parents.
Yeah.
Do some parents resist
I think that
or deny?
I think there's an issue of denial in parents with anything. So some parents are ready to jump on it because they know that early identification leads to early treatment and great outcomes. I think that with all populations, though, there are some people who are in denial. And that's why pediatricians really do need to screen regularly.
Finally, long term, can we beat autism?
Well, that's great. A new study has come out where children are actually coming off the spectrum. So there was a study done recently where 9% of children studied up till age 19 actually lost the diagnosis. So I think what's going to happen is, as we're diagnosing milder and milder children with symptomatology, I think we may see that increase. We're also identifying early, treating early and intensively. So I'm very optimistic about...
Huge progress.
I think it's tremendous progress. There's a lot of research being done as well that is giving us a lot more insight and answers as to what's going on.
But a lot of work to do. Thank you, Doctor. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. One-on-one will continue right after this.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD, and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
Please welcome Jim Novotny, who is supervisor of the Technology, Design, and Engineering Department at Livingston High School. Good to see you.
Hi, how you doing?
Great. You're part of the initiative Classroom Close-Up with our partners at the New Jersey Education Association. You're about to see a clip. You teach students about?
Technology, Design, and Engineering.
And the group of students who compete in something called the Shell Eco Marathon Competition. Your team is called the Eco Lancers?
Eco Lancers, yes.
Where's that name come from?
Kids wanted to get involved with making the world a better place.
And the Lancers are?
That's our motto for our team, for the high school.
Livingston Lancers?
Livingston Lancers.
And eco-friendly, obviously. This competition, as we set it up, what is it?
We wanted to get kids involved in national design competitions, and this one was put forth from Shell, and it's sponsored by Shell. They run it in Europe, United States, and Asia. And I looked at it and said, I think our kids could do this. I proposed it to the kids, and they said, yeah, let's try it, let's do it.
This is pretty special, and again, we could talk about it, but more importantly, you could see it from Classroom Close-Up right here, the Eco-Lancers.
Who are the Eco-Lancers? It's an eclectic group of kids. Some want to be engineers, some just like design. It's not quite a club, it's not quite a part of the class. It's kind of a mixture between the two.
We are all juniors and seniors, and we are really fortunate that the technology department is quite phenomenal and giving us the opportunity that most high schools can't.
Mr. Novotny, my supervisor, was really looking forward. We had seen it, and they've been trying for years to get this going off right there, and he asked me, do you have any kids that you think would be willing for it and want to do it? And I looked right in my Tech and Design 2 level class, which was my upper level design and engineering course, and I found there was 5 students I had in that class that I was like, they work perfectly together as a team, and they would be very successful.
The Shell Eco Marathon is an event where we invite students to design, build, and compete a vehicle that's meant to go farther on a given amount of fuel than any other.
The main thing that we did this year was we converted it to fuel injection, which allows us to electronically through the computer tune the engine based on various factors, the temperature, the air pressure, to make it as efficient as we can.
Hi, Gabby.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you, but I see that you're getting ready to do a test run in this vehicle.
Ready, set, go.
In case if there is a fire inside of the car, the driver has to be able to get out of the car quickly. And so therefore, there's actually a test where the driver has to be able to get out of the car after being buckled up and the windshield on. You have to be able to get out of the car in 10 seconds or less.
Okay, we're good to go.
We actually built this crate. We're going to be using it to ship our car and all of our materials to Houston.
I see the kids who leave here have a really good understanding of how to have an impact on technology, but also understanding how complex everything is, and not giving in, but understanding that if you're going to change the system, you need to be really knowledgeable, you need to get involved, you can't sit back and just watch it happen, you got to get engaged. They are changing the world, one kid at a time is what we're doing.
How proud are you?
Tremendously.
Why?
Just watching these kids come up from like grade 6 and not having any understanding of technology and growing and developing, and then when they leave high school and doing a project like this, saying, this country's going to be in great shape.
But these were the only kids in New Jersey, the only high school that competed in this Shell competition.
Yeah.
Why is that?
That's a challenge to pull a program, pull a project like this off in a public high school. There are a lot of...
How hard?
Very hard.
Describe it.
You got a lot of sports, got a lot of academics. This is going to take time on top of that. It's going to take time during spring break, but it's real world. It's the kids lay it out, they plan it, they got to put the time schedule together, they got to get the materials. I didn't purchase any of those materials that those kids
Who did?
use. The kids.
What do you mean?
They contact businesses, they got donations.
They went out and raised money?
We raised tremendous amounts of money.
Those kids were involved?
Those kids, the one...
In fundraising?
Yes, the one young man on there was afraid to talk on the phone the first time. And now he's the team leader, and he's on the phone constantly with technicians and engineers.
Back up for a second. Are you telling me these kids, in addition to learning about design and technology, science, etc., that they learned not only fundraising, but leadership and team building and business?
You got it. Yeah, they run their entire operation themselves. It's a fully student-run operation. I'm there.
That's extraordinary.
I'm kind of like the advisor. They meet with me, I give them guidance on what they should be doing, and then they tackle it.
What do they walk away with from this experience? Whether they, by the way, whether they win or not?
Yeah, that's not nearly as important as the process that they're going through. They head off to colleges. It's interesting. When you see that video, if we go back a couple of years ago, the kids who started that and the kids who have been on that team since then, they're all in engineering schools throughout the country, and they're all doing really good work. At Rutgers University, I have a kid who is a sophomore who's the lead welder for the SAE team.
What's that?
That's SAE. SAE, Society of Automotive Engineers, and that's a really prestigious position to be the lead welder for the team.
Do you connect, Jim, the work that this young man did with you guys at Livingston High and his role right now at Rutgers?
Absolutely. And he comes back and he mentors the team. He comes back whenever he can, gives them guidance. We bring Rutgers back in to help our team.
So this all this talk about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and the fact that we're way behind and we need to do more. For you as an educator, what's that like for you knowing that you are helping to fill that void and inspire young people in the way that you are right now? Not just to fill that void, but to become extraordinary leaders.
It feels great.
Is that why you went into this?
Yeah, I did.
I don't want to call it a business, into this profession.
It's funny because my career ended up in technology education back in 1983, 84, and I've never regretted a day.
Say that again, you never what?
I'd never regretted a day of being an educator. It's just a calling. I enjoy working with kids. I enjoy challenging them. I'm not the traditional teacher. I'm not a pencil and paper teacher. I'm the teacher who challenges these kids with these real-world scenarios. And I think those real-world scenarios set these kids up for tremendous success beyond college. If they don't go to college, in the real world, if they go start up their own business, I encourage these kids to be creative, to be entrepreneurial. You have to know math, you have to know science. So part of what happens in this whole process, we go through all the science and math, and all of a sudden there's a connection that goes, oh my gosh, I really need to know this stuff. Or the kids come back from a math class later on, they go, remember that problem we were talking about, Mr. Novotny? I'm in calculus right now, and I see how we can do it a little bit differently than what we did.
Yeah.
It's great.
I need to ask you this. We've been asking a lot of leaders this question. CEOs, people who run universities and nonprofits. But you're a leader in so many ways as an educator. Been teaching for how long?
26 years.
Yeah. If I asked you the most important leadership lesson that you have learned over the years in teaching these students and motivating them and the things you do, what would you say the most important leadership lesson that you've learned is?
I would say it's get real. The kids they're living in a real world. They see real world stuff. They want to work on real world stuff. I found a long time ago the secret to the success of Livingston High School. We do projects that are real world. So if I'm going to have a stagecraft class, you're doing the lighting and sound for the set productions. If you're in an automotive class, you're doing Senior Citizen Car Care Week. If you are doing graphics, you're doing the graphics in Livingston, we had a 200th anniversary. We did a logo design. So I bring people in all the time to present to kids with real world scenarios, and I give them the opportunity and the space to do so.
So make it real and relevant.
Real and relevant. Give them a space. That's probably another issue that comes up. You have to have space to work. You have to be, a traditional classroom is nice for learning, traditional content, but you need space where the kids can meet, gather, build, design, store, try out things, meet with, mentors and whatnot. So not many schools have that space.
Well, you've not only given them space, but you've motivated them for a long time, and keep doing what you're doing. Jim Novotny from Livingston High School, congratulations to you and the Eco Lancers. Keep it up.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, stay right there. One-on-one will continue. By the way, I want to thank our friends from the NJEA and the great series Classroom Close-Up for providing that video. First-class stuff. We'll be right back right after this. Thank you very much.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, Email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD, and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We're pleased to be joined by Dr. Marek Rusinkiewicz, is the Dean of College of Computing Sciences at the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Good to see you, Doctor.
Good to see you.
You're here to talk about cyber security, cyber protection. Let me ask you, the whole situation with Sony Entertainment, the hacking of it, you're not surprised by that?
No, I'm not surprised, because they made number of mistakes in protecting themselves that are very common.
Such as?
Such as relying too much on perimeter protection.
What's perimeter protection?
Perimeter protection is equivalent to having a fence around the whole enterprise. And they assumed that this would protect them, and it will not. Because
you're saying you break through the perimeter and
then they have access to everything. This is the problem.
So there was no backup to the perimeter?
No, there is no division of the perimeter. Imagine that you have a fence around the Newark airport.
Yes.
And this does not mean that anybody who gets through the fence can access everything, go and fly a plane. And the same thing is with the cyber protection. If you have multiple resources to protect, they should be protected separately.
But they didn't have that.
They didn't have that.
So for the rest of us, right? Here's what's interesting. I was curious about this. So I say, okay, so people react to the whole Sony situation. We say, okay, we don't want that to happen to us. Other businesses don't want to happen to their businesses. The biggest lessons we should take away from that?
So the biggest lesson in terms of cybersecurity protection is that if you have multiple resources with various degree of importance, you should protect them separately. And the fact that...
Give us an example.
Well,
for a small business like ours, how do you protect them separately?
Well, you know, if you are a company, you probably would be less worried about somebody getting access to the pictures from last year's holiday party.
Okay.
But you would be more worried if somebody gets access to your
I don't have to get our payroll
information.
Yes.
Right. Or if you are a company that produces something, you don't want to the bad guys to get access to your plans for the future and technology that you are developing. Absolutely.
Or our list of, not only our funders, because we disclose that publicly, but all the names of the people and all the history of the notes of all the meetings we have with all those funders. But how do you protect that? You're saying protect that separately as opposed to one, believing that you have one system of protecting everything.
Well, you have multiple fences inside, and you have different compartments of information. This is a well-known concept in protecting the sensitive information by the government.
And some people get lazy and don't do that.
Some people get the sense of false security by hoping that the external perimeter protection would prevent the bad guys from getting in.
And how about individuals? You have told our producer, you're talking to our producer Jackie, and you told her that using your password as an individual over and over again is a problem. And I'm thinking, what? Why is that a problem?
It absolutely is. But let's start with a different example.
Go ahead.
If somebody comes to you in the cafeteria and says, Mr. Adubato, would you give me your credit card number and PIN? And by the way, I want to also verify your address and the maiden name of your mother. Would you do this? Probably not. But yet people do it routinely. Tens of thousands of people respond to this kind of request on the internet.
What's the problem with that?
Well, you know, if...
is that too much information to give?
Right. No, it's the information that you should keep. This is your private information. You wouldn't give your credit card information to anybody, if somebody, particularly to somebody whom you don't know. On the other hand, you know, as I said, people will get a request by email formulated very similarly to what I just said, and they give this information out without thinking. But the password problems that you mentioned is also obviously very important.
But it's my password.
It's your password, and for many people, the password is 12345, or the name of your wife, And,
I don't even want to say
the bad
how
guys know that.
But it's, you're saying change it?
No,
how often?
I'm saying have different passwords to different domains. Again, you don't want to, if one of your passwords is compromised, guessed, or
whatever
broken into by whatever means, you don't want the bad guys to have access to all your accounts.
Wow. Multiple passwords.
So you have to have multiple passwords, and they have to be non-trivial.
Do you believe, in the time we have left, do you believe that most individuals and most businesses are aware enough of how serious this cyber threat is?
I think they are beginning to become aware of it. And again, it depends of, as I started, from whom do you want to protect yourself? You have to accept the fact that if you are dealing with a determined and highly qualified adversary, they may break in. So the question is, control the damage. Be prepared for the fact that don't put all your eggs into one basket.
Spread it around.
No, have it in multiple domains, in multiple accounts, yes. Use encryption, use up-to-date virus protection, and so on.
And if someone says, that's too much money, or I don't want to spend that money, your response would be, what's the cost of?
Of not doing it, obviously. So you know, we had last year something.
We'll keep talking off the air, but
12,
go ahead.
Yeah.
It's a big risk not doing it, and you'll pay a lot later.
You pay much more, right? The risk is much bigger. And
it's an important topic. We'll keep talking off.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, activists in cooperation with the American Medicine Chess Challenge, Steve and Elaine Pozicki, United Water, MagnaCare, and by Johnson & Johnson. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
Each year, Americans fill 4 billion prescriptions, but as much as 1/3 of that medication will never be used. Some of this waste ends up in the rivers, lakes, and streams that make up our drinking water supply. The United Water Foundation and the National Community Pharmacists Association have partnered to bring you a simple solution. Dispose your meds responsibly. Go to disposemymeds.org to find a participating pharmacy and to learn more. A public service message from the United Water Foundation and NCPA.